Welcome to the stream, everyone. We'll be starting here in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, sorry for the multi-stream confusion. Thanks for coming over to the new stream. Like I said, we'll be starting around 4 o'clock. So just sit back, relax, and we will get started shortly. Thank you all for being here. Want to say hello to Simon Fly, Nick Coffin, James Craig, Mr. Eon. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for the support. Alrighty, you guys. Welcome back. So happy to be here. Let's get this bad boy started, shall we? Welcome, everyone. So happy you're here. Let's see here. Bring this all the way down to there. Pump it up over here. There we go. There we go. Just doing a little sound mixing live. Hi guys, welcome. How you doing? There we go. There we go. Right around there. How you guys doing out there? How are you guys doing out there? Want to say hello to B Baker, Steve Long, Zoltan, Connor Brady, The Earth. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Want to also give a special shout out, Connor Brady, to, let me see here. So I want to make sure I get their name right. to Dana Shadell, who joined the Lou Reviews YouTube club, YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Dana, for the subscription. Truly appreciate it. As a member, you get no special access, nothing interesting or new. You just get to support the show financially. So if you find this content valuable, if you like the show Lou Reviews, please consider becoming a member and or checking out our Patreon, which there are many, many wonderful levels, all with no extra access or bonus footage or anything like that. So again, if you support the show, you really love it. We truly appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. All right. So let's get started with today's show, shall we? It's not going to be a long one. But this one kind of hit home for me because there was a lot of similarities, especially when I reached out to Jeff Knox privately. Let's go ahead and do this. So we've got our, you know what, which one did I set it up for? Should we do, let's see what this one looks like. Let's see what this setup looks like. There we go. That'll work. So Jeff Knox got a lot of shit on Twitter the last few days. And it stemmed primarily, let me go back to the bookmark here, from this tweet right here from Gus 2.0. And every once in a while, there's a tweet like this that really just hits the nail on the head. And it was an important question that he posed to a few people online. And I noticed it, and I really appreciated this comment. Because it's a lot of the things that leading up to the big phone home I was seeing, people just didn't care about. They just did not care about. They were not willing or ready to rock the boat in fear of losing their channel, in fear of losing their influence, in fear of losing their Patreons, in fear of losing their YouTube memberships, and the likes and the clicks and the interests and the access that you get when you push this UFO narrative. If you're pro-narrative and you have any monicum of a show, it used to be where you could get anyone, including Lou Elizondo, to come on your show. Lou seems to have completely, at least for now, see what happens when his book comes out, and we'll pay attention to the shows that he does go on if he does decide to do any smaller podcast forum type shows. I was telling people when I quit my show that the whole UAP Media UK team was, especially that UFO podcast, was very much in that description that I just put out there, and in that they refuse to answer bone-cutting questions because they know it will upset their core of support, financial support, which is made up of hardcore UFO alien believers, experiencers, etc., etc. Hold on 1 second. This is, you know what? Let me do this. There we go. It's, when I came out and said it, it was 2 years, and really since UAP Media UK put out that Calvine photo, I questioned it really hard. There was a lot of good sort of theories as to what that object could be, and really the biggest issue that I had with it is that nobody knows who took the picture. Nobody's talked to this guy publicly. We still don't know where this picture was specifically taken on the dot, who took it, all of those details that we need to solve this case, which I think is unsolvable. And when you raise these questions, depending on who you are, you get a couple of different responses. If you're someone like me at the time, I was just basically being ignored. I think maybe, I'm trying to remember if sort of the doubts I was putting out there about this case, the only person that was really sort of gnawing at my heels, gosh, I'm forgetting his name right now. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is that you get a couple of different reactions. And the other reaction is to publicly call out someone and say they're disappointed, that they're bullying, that they're harassing. They basically just start putting labels on these people that question the UFO alien narrative, not whether or not the possibility is real. I think everybody is in agreement that the possibility is there. I think where we disagree is it fact? Is it fact that non-human intelligence is visiting the planet? What are the odds of that? And when you question or fall into that side of the fence, there is it almost seems like a standard protocol reaction from, depending on who you're challenging, where it comes from, but it all seems to come from the same place. And when I was pushing back on Calvine, mostly I was at the same time getting shit from a UFO Joe, Sean Rash. I know Vinny from Disclosure Team stopped following our show, basically got really upset with us once after our first John Ramirez interview. That really, really pissed him off. And then the Calvine photo came out, and then that was, I think, the straw that broke the camel's back as far as my relationship with the UAP Media UK guys. And, I would always see them defend sometimes some things where I was just like, man, I don't 100% agree with that take, but whatever. When it came to the sock puppet stuff, when it came to the Calvine UFO photo stuff, they were dead ass silent on the sock puppet stuff and sort of the conflict of pledges versus the actions of the sock puppet stuff from Lou Elizondo. And behind the scenes, you had guys like Vinny Adams, UFO Joe, Sean Rash, J. Christopher King, privately and publicly making comments like very similar to what Graham Randall posted. I mean, let me first read this tweet, because this tweet is, again, like, this viscerally hit me, because I was like, damn, this feels a lot like how they attacked me, the same way I see them attacking Jeff Knox. And it's interesting. And first, let's just say with Jeff, he doesn't have a track record of doing stuff like this. This is not his thing. Like Jeff Knox, when we go to his Twitter page, and let me check it out. He does things, like this. I mean, just essentially really great historical UFO research. And in a lot of ways is championed in the community for his tweets. And, like Internet Movie Database, UFOs, it has begun, like finding UFO films. Today in UFO history, Commander Robert B. McLaughlin, White Sands sighting, May 9th, 1949. Like, this is the content that he normally puts out. He's not, and it was very similar to me up until right after the big phone home. Once I knew who was in and who was out for the right reasons and the wrong reasons, that was sort of the straw that broke my back was, okay, I now know who's in it for bullshit and who's in it for genuine truth. And you've got guys like this, like Jeff Knox, who really respect and really is fascinated by the history of this topic and puts out pretty damn good information about it out there. Stuff that at the very least makes you go, that's interesting. And I think in a lot of ways is valuable. I don't know if we have this, I mean, maybe we do have the same conclusions or similar conclusions in that the possibility, of course, is there. We don't know. It's not scientific fact yet. It's not as an undeniable truth, like the world is a sphere. You know, the planet is a sphere. It's not flat. Like, that is an undeniable truth that 99.9% of people know. The existence of non-human intelligence visiting our planet is not on that level of knowledge yet. The reason why is because the proof doesn't back the claims, doesn't back the eyewitness testimony in a lot of cases. Just doesn't. Not well enough to convince the world it's real. And that's not controversial. That's just fact. That's just fact. So, Jeff Knox, you know, part of the Invisible Night School, and again, just a level-headed person that for the most part sticks to his own lane and does his own thing. Over the last few months, and this is not new for him, he has noticed how Vinnie Adams from Disclosure Team steals people's research and talks about it without crediting them. How he shapes narratives to fit his belief system. How he completely ignores, and this is what goes back to the bookmark, this original post here by Gus 2.0 that started this entire thing. And that is the sock puppet accounts. Just completely ignores, does not answer, does not question, does not find weird in any way that someone who pledges the image that he does, why you wouldn't find this behavior at the very least just questionable. It doesn't question any of these things and only defends the narrative that they believe. They have no room for skepticism whatsoever. And they will not question any part of the official narrative at all. And so Gus 2.0 writes, my question, so you don't care about the sock puppet accounts, the bully with the 5 felons, the bully against Lou Angeles and Rather Be Squidding, no yellow lights. I want the answer, you know? And for that question, he got blocked by Vinnie Adams. They just refused. Not one person on Disclosure Team will answer this question. Not one person will answer this question. Not one person on UAP Media UK, rather, will answer this question. And it'll probably end up in a block in most cases if you ask them this question and to just answer it simply. So Jeff Knox, who, again, over the last few months has seen this behavior, has noticed this behavior, has openly talked about this behavior, I think this was the straw that broke his back. And he wrote, Vinny's a disgusting internet troll and just generally a disgustingly behaved individual. You're better off without that grifter. And that is what he is, a grifter. It's accurate. It's accurate. There's so many things I'd love to say, but really only one person can say them because he actually worked with Vinny. And never want to put anybody on the spot. Like, he's off already doing his own shit. Like, doesn't even pay attention to this stuff anymore. But this is true. This is accurate. And it's fair. And, man, Jeff got a lot of shit for it. But it takes a lot of balls to say something like that, to call them out as internet trolls. And they are. They don't do it publicly. They do it behind the scenes, just like they did with me. I had a private conversation with Jeff Knox, and there was a lot of things, and I'm going to switch the camera just so I could reference the message. I'm not going to read it word for word. but there were some things that really stuck out to me. Names specifically. And again, just all of this wonderful work immediately means nothing the second you question this narrative. But he says, people want to call me a troll and even a grifter. So people are accusing him of being a grifter. Primarily Wolford, Chris Wolford. So that's another name I forgot to mention at the top, as far as the people that behind the scenes and publicly try to destroy your character by lobbing things at you like grifter and a fake and a phony and bullshit. I mean, like, I have a recording of Christopher Wolford unhinged in a Twitter space against me, and then realizing in the same Twitter space that what he was claiming about me was 100% wrong. He is a maniac. And one of the people for 2 years I stayed quiet about and tried to rationally have a conversation with. Tried to understand where they were coming from. Him, UAP Mike, Sean Rash. Like, I would have discussions, private discussions that with all three of them ended in a place where I was just like, fuck off. Just leave me the fuck alone. Like, just cursing at them because I was like, okay, I can't rationalize with you anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. And so when Knox had mentioned Wolford, mentioned UFO Joe, Sean Rash, and Vinny Adams, that's what made me go, whoa! This feels really similar to what happened to me. And I felt bad for Jeff because I think a lot of people saw that message on Twitter and immediately said to themselves, man, that's fucked up. That's not cool. And started kind of harping on Jeff. And I think mostly because people aren't really paying attention to the actions of Vinny Adams, as well as Jeff Knox's, as well as I was. When you see these guys operate, it's like putting on the glasses. Once you see it, it's hard to unsee. And so I take my hat off. I would if I didn't have headphones on, to Jeff Knox for having the moxie to say something like this and stick to it, because he's been getting a lot of shit on Twitter. And once he's articulated himself to the rational thinkers, they're like, okay, yeah, I kind of see your point there. I understand. I'm not going to totally hate you for it. May disagree, but we'll agree to disagree. And then the other reaction to it is, well, I'm just blocking you. I'm just going to completely take you out of the equation because I disagree with you. Not because of legitimate harassment or anything like that. It's just because you're making me think of things that I don't like. And yeah, that's the community right there in a nutshell. What really bummed out Jeff Knox, and I think this is pretty obvious, is that because of reactions like this from Graham Rendell, who's part of the whole UAP Media UK team, oh wait, no, I don't want to do that one. I want to do this one. Graham responds, takes a picture, a screenshot of what Jeff Knox says, and with his 7,100 followers and Vinny Adams 11,000 followers, they all decided to pick a fight with Jeff Knox. And there was a lot of things that were said in that thread, but they picked Jeff's comment, and that's the one they zeroed in on, because this is their opportunity to take out the guy who is trying to be down the middle as possible. Who's trying to be as objective do the research, but also keep a level head about it. And this was their opportunity to tell all the believers, don't trust Jeff Knox. Because he snapped for one tweet out of 3 million or however many tweets he sent out. And this is snapped, you know? And again, I agree with this statement. But when you got guys like the Disclosure Team and the narrative builders and the guys who refuse to question anything weird or dishonest about the Lou Elizondo TTSA narrative, they're immediately called out and ostracized and attacked viciously online forever now. There's never going to be a tweet that Jeff Knox sends out that isn't going to have someone with some bullshit to say. And yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, welcome to the party. It just, yeah, you know, like Graham says, there are wrong takes and completely wrong takes. This one exceeds even that yardstick. If anyone spent any amount of time with Disclosure Team, they would know how utterly wrong this is. I've now blocked Jeff Knox for a second time. Not sure why he does this, but it's not helpful. It is helpful. I think calling out these grifters and these part-time men of principle is helpful. I think when good researchers and good people like Jeff Knox are telling you to pay attention to something that they're noticing is going wrong within the community, pay attention to it. And I would also say the opposite of that. Anyone that UAP Media UK, any team members of that, whoever they attack as a unit, as a team, start listening to those people. Start listening to those people. They're probably level-headed and a little more rational about the idea of non-human intelligence visiting the planet Earth. Yeah. It was, you know, talking to Jeff privately behind the scenes. Yeah, just a lot of the same things that happened to me happened to him. And a lot of the things that he was seeing, I saw as well. You know, and I just found it. The thing that I think he's most bummed about is things like this will turn off a whole group of people to getting good information. Or at least information that's grounded and rational and presented in a way that's not fantasy. It's presented in a way that, hey, here's the story. This is where it was found. This is the historical record of it. Read it and decide for yourself. Yeah, I think that's probably, if I had to say, that's probably the thing that Jeff is most bummed about. Is that because of this, there's going to be a whole group of people that used to follow Jeff that don't follow him anymore. Because one guy in the UAP Media UK team decided to have a moment of, you know, I'm going to plant my flag here and stand up for my friend. And I understand standing up for your friends. I understand being loyal to your friends. But sometimes, like, it's okay to check your friends. And I think that's, I thought I'd saved it. But there was a great response from Jeff Knox where he had, you know, basically said, you know, what I just said, you know, checking your friends. Like, you know, if you know your friends have a belief system that's not right, you know, like, why would you just go along with it just because they're your friend? Why wouldn't you challenge them? And I think that's what makes real friends, is the ability to challenge maybe belief systems that your friends have. That's, I mean, I know that's part of growing up, like meeting new friends, people that you come to respect, and then, you know, they check you on something that you either think is funny or you think is whatever, and you realize really quickly, oh shit, this person's actually looking out for me. Like, this is, that's hilarious that he got he's getting attacked by King Troll himself, Thomas Fessler. Like, that is hilarious. Yeah, there was a really cool. I'm bummed I didn't save it here. UFO Judas, another great video. Anyway, I think you get my point. Like, you know, this guy's MO, Jeff Knox's MO, is not to be combative, not to be mean, or, you know, use derogatory language or have tweets that come across as just pissed off. But I think, you know, like a lot of folks, can only see so much bullshit before, like, you know what? That's it. Enough's enough. I'm going to say something. And Jeff Knox hit that wall. And I say good for him. You know, I know he doesn't have the 6,000 followers, 7,000 followers that Graham has, or the, you know, 11,000 followers that Vinny Adams has. It's easy to punch down for them. Really easy to punch down and just belittle someone that has a tenth of the following between the two of you. You guys are a joke. You guys are the bullies. Like, punching down on Jeff Knox because he doesn't agree with Vinny Adams and he finds Vinny Adams's practices kind of shitty. I mean, Vinny Adams begged me to come on the Big Phone Home One. Begged me. Called me his inspiration. But the second I asked tough questions to John Ramirez, who was claiming really wild shit and doing it in a respectful way, he had a problem with it. And from that moment forward, he wasn't going to be supporting this show in any sort of public way. And I think that trickled down to all of his buddies over there at UAP Media UK. I think that feeling trickled into a lot of other people around Vinny Adams. Primarily the same people that Jeff Knox named. The Chris Wolfords, the Sean Rashes, the Jay Kings, the UFO Joes, the UAP Mikes. Like, the same cast of maniacs and characters that just, they pick a name, and whoever that name is, they attack. They attack, and they relentlessly do it until you go away in their minds, or until they win. They haven't won anything. We're all still here. We all still have a voice. I still have a show. You know, like, taking victory laps on my show ending. You thought you guys did that. I did that. That was my decision. They're just not cool. They're not cool. Calvine was the dumbest case ever. Agreed. Let's see here. I bookmarked a couple other things here too that I guess I wanted to talk about. Well, before I do, my closing thoughts on the Jeff Knox, Graham Rendell, UAP Media UK, Vinny Adams ordeal. Go and follow Jeff Knox. Support him all you can. Because that guy works his ass off to put out all of this information for nothing. He does not monetize at all. He does not have a Patreon or a Cash App or anything. He just puts this information out there because that's what he likes to do on his free time. And he's been spending a lot of his free time fighting idiots like this. And Vinny Adams and their 11,000, 12,000, 7,000 followers, whatever it is. So go support him. Give him a follow. Tell him, hey, thanks for having the moxie to say something. You know, I'll take my following and help you fight shit like this. You know, like, everybody always wants to point out about how, you know, angry and upset we are. Yeah. You know, like, yeah. When you get lied to, when you see people lying and getting rewarded for it, it's disheartening. It's upsetting. And if you've got a good eye for it, it'll piss you off eventually. You know, especially when it comes from people like talking about curb stomping or, while at the same time complaining about how horrible people are. Like it's wild. It's wild. Anyway, Jeff Knox, I support you. I think what you did was right. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I think your research is awesome. So, we support you here. And, if you really want to get their perspectives, I'm sure if you ask him, you ask me, if people who are genuinely asking questions like this, I will give you all the time in the world to explain perspectives and how things happen, but if it's met with, some sort of aggressive, cult-like mentality where how dare I question the leader? Yeah, I'm never going to answer your questions. I'll probably block you too, right? And that's what I would probably recommend to Jeff Knox. Start blocking people back, because honestly, it's like this, people use it as this sort of badge of honor. I don't block anybody. And I used to think the same way. Well, why would you block anybody? Just because they have differing opinions? No. Because irrationality is not fun to interact with. And I'd rather just block it these days, because it makes my life so much less stressful on Twitter. So much less stressful. And so, yeah, that would probably be my advice to Jeff. Don't be afraid to use the block button. Someone earlier said it's like the last line of defense that we have. If they want to alienate themselves into a cult, cool. We'll always leave the door open for rational discussion, but anything outside of that, I think just block them as well. The divide in ufology is now a wall. It is a wall, and that wasn't put there by people like me. It wasn't put there like people like Vinny Adams, not with intent. I think a lot of this stuff is by design. And there's a reason why we're all at each other's necks. Maybe it came from the guy who said he wanted to do that. It's like thinking of Jon Stewart screaming at Stephen Colbert, like, maybe the coronavirus came from the coronavirus lab. Like, maybe the division in this conversation came from the people who said they wanted to destroy it and divide it and have their own section of people over here where they can have their own conversation and exclude these people over here that question the conversation that's being had. It's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But it's also fact. That's just like, just look at what happened. All right. One other thing that I thought was interesting, because we're now over a month, I believe 1 month and 3 or 4 days since Eric Weinstein has publicly asked George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell to facilitate a discussion with Bob Lazar. And of course, we've gone over the only response that we've gotten to that request so far. And again, we've got another tweet here by George Knapp, and still zero response on that request. And I think this is reasons why he doesn't want to answer requests like that. So Boom Studios is launching a graphic novel project based on our 2005 Hunt for Skinwalkers book. So Boom Studios is actually a legitimate comic book studio. They've produced Keanu Reeves' Berserker. I didn't know that they made a comic book. I was thinking of Grant Levac, Big Trouble in Little China comic book. There was another property that they had here that was Dune. They've got the Dune property. you know, a couple of other cool IPs, Garfield, Fraggle Rock. I mean, legitimate. You know, any other person gets a announcement like this, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so awesome! Like, I'd be so excited for them. But I know offers like this are only coming built on a mountain of bullshit, and it's just kind of disheartening. It just kind of sucks, you know. Like good work doesn't get you anywhere. It seems like these days. It seems like only shitty work gets you to comic book status and movie producer status, and, you know, leaning into lies and mystery and hearsay is more valuable than leaning into truth. And this is how the Bob Lazar story pays off, because people think that's credible because that's the first thing, right? One of the first things, other than, you know, the whole John Lear discussions, who they conveniently left out of all the money-making end of it. This is, you know, like, he doesn't get this without that notoriety. And that's why I think it's so important that we get all three of them to talk to Eric Weinstein. And let's get all three of them to explain the outlandish claims that they're making and that they're profiting off of. Yeah, so I thought this was a great response from Steve Boz. In related news, this cloud was spotted over the ranch. And we've got, yes, that's right, cloud shaped like a phallus. Phallic cloud. Yeah. You know, it's just like stuff like that. You read stuff like that, and it's like, man, you got time to post this bullshit, but you don't have time to answer Eric Weinstein still. You still don't have time to answer Eric Weinstein. Yeah. Anyway. I guess that's the show today. Hope it wasn't too much of a bummer. But yeah, I mean, you know, just wanted to call out something I saw, give my thoughts about it, and yeah, let's do this here. There we go. Anyway, you guys, that was a fun show. Let me go over some of your comments here. I appreciate the value in the info that he puts out. I queried him on Twitter why he implied Vinny was a grifter. Jeff and I just have a different understanding of what grifter is. Yeah, I mean, you could also grift access. You know, like, grifting doesn't necessarily mean you have to make money. You could be grifting access as well. Like, that is also a valuable currency that translates in other ways. So I would say just keep that in mind as well. You know, when people are calling each other grifters, money is not the only way to grift. You know, access, power, there are other things to grift for. And I think influence is a big one. Influence and importance, you know, you want people to think that your opinion matters, that it's important to the conversation. And so, yeah, I would say that. Phantom Funky Neighbors, cheers, Lou. Cheers back to you. Let's see here. Alien Scientists, what's happening? Thank you for being here. Yeah, I mean, that's one guy that's been calling out George Knox bullshit for a long time. I wonder what Jeremy thinks about his comic book deal. Like, this idea that they're creating a comic book out off of Colm Kelleher. That's what was really funny. Is the media, the press release of it. Look at this painting. They have these wolf tracks. To the woods with the red eyes. I wonder if they'll have a smoking jacket and a cigarette for the wolf. Boom Studios announced today the completion of its second direct-to-consumer campaign of the year to break $500,000. That it is launching its third campaign of the year, celebrating a true paranormal event. You see, that's the thing, right? Is that it's also going to open up the door for people to believe that Skinwalker is real. That it's a real, true paranormal event. And that George Knapp and Colm Kelleher are going to be like the heroes, the protagonists, I'm sure, of this comic book. It'd be funny if they were. But yeah, it's just stuff like this, man, that I look at and I go, shit, that's just going to open up a whole new generation of people who think Skinwalker Ranch is real. Because you've got a PhD, Colm Kelleher, and lead investigator George Knapp, journalist George Knapp. With a 2005 nonfiction book, Hunt for the Skinwalker. I can't believe they let that book be labeled nonfiction. I mean, who's they? Who's going to check that stuff, I guess? But it's just wild. And, they're expecting it to make $500,000. So it's going to be a big book. It's going to be a big comic book that George Knapp and Colm Kelleher are going to reap the benefits of. And you wonder why people get so pissed off at the fact that they're not answering questions. They're not answering simple requests. Because if they do, all of that stuff crumbles. All that stuff goes away. The comic books, the movies, the appearances on Rogan, all that stuff I think goes away. If you get their crown jewel, Bob Lazar, in a real scientific mathematical discussion with a legitimate Harvard grad, MIT grad, that will be able to genuinely question Bob Lazar and his credentials and his knowledge. All this stuff goes away if that happened. So, hashtag Lazar and Weinstein. Hashtag Lazar to Congress. It's so funny. So funny. Everyone wants to see this. Everyone wants to see this happen. Everyone. Except George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell and Bob Lazar. Those are the only three people on the planet that don't want to see this conversation happen. And there's a damn good reason for that. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out, being a part of the show. I'm looking forward to the Dino Beaver illustrations, as am I. I want to thank everyone that was here. Steve Long, 5797, Puxley, Mysterion, Falls Garon, B. Baker, Silly Goose, The Earth. The Earth is here. Thank you for being here. The Earth, DAA. If I missed anybody, sorry. I love you all. I hope I didn't. Oh, did I miss a super chat? I might have. Where? Oh yeah, I did. Puxley, thank you so much. I appreciate it. The 10 GBP. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Truly. I really appreciate the support, you guys. And yeah, if you want to support us, again, the links are in the description below. I don't know when we're going to be doing our next episode. I think I'm going to start working on my next edited project. I'm just trying to decide what it's going to be. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Lou Reviews. Until next time, you guys, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm going to go play some golf tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to go play some golf tomorrow. Played yesterday, and god damn, it was awesome. Peace.